and think about today what is the value of Indian rupee, right? All of this because this currency manipulation is happening at the centralized, the central banks and at the government level. Inflation is definitely one of the reason, and there are other manifold of reasons as well. Another example, real-time example, is that the demonetization in 2016 that happened, right? One day, Mr. Modi comes across and say that, hey, from tomorrow onwards, not from tomorrow, but from today onwards, after 12 a.m., 500 rupee note and 1000 rupee notes will not be used anymore. Think about, there are many people who are holding those kind of currency notes with them. They have to go through a lot of pain, right? I mean, again, this is a topic of debate for some other day. But the point over here is that these currencies are being, let's say, controlled by some central regulatory body or by some handful of people. But the masses of people have to follow that. What this Bitcoin did is it actually created a currency which is not being controlled by any central body or any central government, right? It's a people's currency. It can be exchanged peer to peer. Peer to peer, when I say, it means that I can exchange it with you, you can exchange it with XYZ person, and there is nobody who controls that. Nobody will going to come tomorrow and say that, hey,
Okay, just
starting.
to add here 1 second. Sorry, Nimit. So
Mhm.
as Nimit is saying, it is people's currency. That is why it will never be mainstream. Okay, it will never be allowed because
Yeah,
masses
that's
can never have the power. Okay. No, I'm just sharing my thoughts here. It has never
yeah.
been allowed in the history of mankind, and it will never be allowed. So
I'll give you examples, Nishan. That's not true. That is already happening right now. If you see that, various
the
vendors are now.
moment it starts to become more and more mainstream, it will be killed. You mark my words.
Yeah, we're going to
Right
see that.
now,
We're going to see that.
see, right
Yes.
now
I mean,
you see, right? You see wallets, right? Like in India, but everything is on rupee only, right?
that's a
Today I
separate thing,
cannot go
Nishan.
to
Nishan,
my.
let's not go into that. Let me finish it first, right? Let's not go into all those discussions right now. Let me first finish
Okay,
it up
okay,
so that
okay.
everybody understand the concept, what it is, and everybody can start making their own mind rather than being manipulated by either my thoughts or your thoughts, right? So I'm just trying to explain what this technology is, what it brings onto the table, and how it is being perceived by the masses as of now. Okay.
Okay, fine, fine.
Right. So yeah, that's what I was saying, that this Bitcoin was emerged as a people's currency, which is not being controlled by anyone. Think of today as a gold, right? What is gold as of today? It is not being controlled by any central body or central authority, right? You have gold, and that gold will going to have a value forever, right? I mean, because it has been holding the value from last thousands of years. I don't know. Probably gold was the gold and the gold coins were the first medium of exchanges for the goods and the services. And I think of Bitcoin as a modern gold, wherein you possess something in your digitally, basically, and you can have an value in exchange of it. I mean, that value could be, as of today, in terms of US dollars, Europe, sorry, euros or INR. But eventually, going forward, the let's say the idea and the motivation of creating this Bitcoin was to convert or exchange the Bitcoin in terms of goods and services. Con, just give me a second, then there is something happening. Just give me a second.
So in a way, it is good. You guys can analyze some of the information that Nimit shared. But if there are any questions, I can answer.
Do you have any examples wherein like Bitcoin or any other currency is actively being used by general public?
Yeah, Bitcoin is being accepted in Starbucks and all in the US, I believe. So in a way, Bitcoin has some acceptance in the Western world, but in India, it is just like an asset class. But
Like all I
it
know,
is being.
like Bitcoin is mostly used like for buying weed or all those illegal things from darknet, but like actual
No, even
usage.
in mainstream, yes, I think Starbucks and
But
all accept
actually,
payments in Bitcoin.
if we talk about the underlying technology, the blockchain technology, not the Bitcoin,
Yeah,
see,
yeah, technology
yeah,
basically. Yeah.
what I have read recently is that, for example, Tamil Nadu government, they have done like a whole they have done like a thorough analysis of their IT, and they have decided to integrate blockchain into almost all the IT infrastructure. So state governments and even like bigger governments are trying to sort of figure it out, that how can they use the blockchain technology to integrate the vast supply chains. So this is more like IT integration and more of uh, uh, integrating more flexibility in the supply chain. So that is the beauty of blockchain. Probably anyone experts, like the technical experts, could explain it, but this is more of like a vague application.
I got your point. Like, I'm just asking if there is specific example of companies who are
See,
actively
blockchain
using.
is being used by everyone, right? Blockchain is a very, very common technology nowadays.
I think I can
But
give some inputs. In Europe, there is a Visa introduce a card, Mastercard for cryptocurrency. I don't know exactly how does it work, but you can explore it. Visa has a card which can hold you one of your cryptocurrency, whichever you want.
Mhm.
Ripple, all those things. So financially, there are some websites which will be converting to dollar with the current Bitcoin price or whatever your cryptocurrency is worth.
I understand that, like as a currency, but as a technology, like, do you guys know any example which are like which are concretely using that technology and they have established some business out of it, like smart contracts for property dealing or anywhere? Because I'm not aware of any one such examples. There are so many companies that came out and they said like they are using blockchain, but actually they were not using anything. So not really sure. Like, I just wanted to know if you guys are aware of any concrete company which is using it, the technology, or even the what do we say, the cryptocurrencies. For instance, like Fidelity Investment,
yeah,
they
so
have
no. So there are two things, right? Cryptocurrencies, as I mentioned to you, there are companies in the US which have started accepting it. One of you can Google it quickly.
Mhm.
But Starbucks, I know for sure, in some places in the US, you can go to a Starbucks and pay by Bitcoin, whatever fractions it comes to.
Okay.
So if one Bitcoin is $10,000 and your bill is $5, you divide by 5 by 10,000 and you pay 0.001 Bitcoin, whatever.
Okay.
Starbucks does it for sure. Okay.
All right. So Starbucks
Then
is a company which is
that is
basically accepting it as a currency. And any
exactly, that is
examples
one.
of blockchain
And
technology as used?
blockchain is used in a variety of industries. The problem with blockchain as a technology as of today for many industries, especially in the finance industry, is that who will pay for it? So, for example, there are many brokers in India who use NSC, and we have this T plus 2 settlement. If we start using blockchain, we can do it as T plus 1 settlement. But then to make it T plus 1, who will pay for the technology? Because the initial cost will be $200 million. Now, everybody thinks somebody else fund it and we will be on that platform. So ideally, the governments can fund it. On someday they may do it like UPI, for example, and then people will join slowly. So like initially, the government of India funded the UPI
And
platform and created it.
I think Nishant, I think please park this subject, cryptocurrency. Let Nimit says what he wants to say, because for me now my mind is thinking in your direction as well. So as he told, I will be diverted to you, biased. So it's better to this subject. Maybe
Okay,
you can.
but he has some issue, right? I believe somebody came to his house, so his wife told him, yeah,
No,
yeah,
we can have many
yeah.
questions if you want. We can do a Q&A session with other topics also. But
Okay. Is he back then?
Fine. No, he's not. I don't think so. He'll be back for 10 minutes
Okay. And then
because
second thing was also regarding like
Fine. So you want to
decent.
switch the topic. He wants to switch the topic. So ask on some other topic because
Okay. Okay. Just to question one of the things that Nimit said regarding the decentralization of currency. Now, I understand when we are using the traditional currency, it's centralized or it's monitored or basically manipulated or done all the things by the government. But in
It,
case of Bitcoin, don't you think the same power actually lies with people who have massive amounts of Bitcoin? For instance, the unknown
no, no.
figure
So
of Satoshi.
the way
sorry guys,
this is
I'm
controlled is okay.
hello,
He is back.
hello. Yeah, sorry guys, somebody was trying to force enter in our house. I think it was a, let's say, a confusion. That guy want to go on the floor above. So my wife got scared, so that's why I have to go.
All right.
Okay, so you guys were discussing something. Is there any question?
No, I just was curious for one of the questions. It's simply I was saying that I know that cryptocurrency is decentralized, but at the moment we know that the unknown figure Satoshi, he has like 1 million bitcoins with him out of total 21 million. So if he wants to spend it all at higher price, he is actually manipulating the currency, right? Because he, when he wants, he can actually bring down the cost of Bitcoin. When he
How?
wants, he can actually.
Just a second, Tushar. How he can bring down or bring up the cost of Bitcoin?
So when he has like 1 million, which is like almost 5-6% of entire Bitcoin,
How we know that he has 1 million?
he has said, right, like 1 million Bitcoin lies with him.
There is no guy named as Satoshi Nakamoto, as
Yeah,
I
there is
said.
no guy, but definitely his address exists, Bitcoin address. So if
Yeah.
he want, actually, he can send sell a lot of it and
Again, nobody
rise the
knows who
prices.
this guy is, and that account which he holds is being dormant since 2010, right? It has not been activated since 2010, and you must be, since you know about this, you must be knowing about that. If you forget or if you lost the private keys of your Bitcoin wallet or Bitcoin account, then it's lost forever. Nobody can unlock it.
Yeah, I
Do it.
completely agree with that. I'm just posing this question. Like, let's say it's not lost, or that person or that authority, whatever exists, it exists and it has it, and it may be dormant. And over the time, when let us say a lot of people actually start using Bitcoin, the prices are skyrocketed, and then he starts to basically make use of it. Like, there is
Yeah,
definitely a
it's again,
possibility, right?
then it's an open market, right? I mean, he holds that Bitcoin. He can sell those out in the
No, but
market.
it won't be open market because he has such a proportion of Bitcoin that it's actually worse than centralizing the traditional currencies that we have.
No,
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 he
you are not
how
understanding right. See, he
how
has 1 million Bitcoin, you are saying, right? What is the total supply of Bitcoin in the world
it's
as of today?
21.
21,
Totally,
21.
that max can be 21 million.
Max नहीं अभी कितना है as of today?
I
I
think it's 18 million something.
हाँ, so 18 million का 1 million is less than 10%, right? So he only controls 10% of the market, even if he starts to sell.
And
I
again,
know
when
you are, and if somebody has been so patient to hold 1 million and it is worth $10,000 today or whatever, that is roughly $10 billion. That's credit to him, right? How many people are patient enough to hold for 10 years? So
right,
maybe he's waiting
and
for
again,
1 million, the price of $1 million per Bitcoin. So 1 million into 1 million, he will have that much money, but he has the patience,
yes,
right? So he deserves the money.
right,
Yeah,
and
but just
again,
imagine if the prices, like if wide adoption of Bitcoin happens, which is not one Bitcoin, like you can actually fraction the Bitcoin into so little values,
Array
and
fraction ठीक है, but he will only control 1 million out of 21 million, right? That is less than 5%,
and
yeah,
right?
but
So he
even
will not be able to manipulate the market, na? He will not be a big controller.
yeah,
I would be
let's
scared if the total supply is 1.2 million and 1 million is with that guy. And also the whole purpose or the whole game of Bitcoin is basically that because the supply will be limited at 21 million, nobody can keep creating it. That is the whole value add of Bitcoin, just like gold. That someday gold has limited supply, but currency has no limited supply, right? Chapo, chapte ja. We don't know how much dollar the treasury has, US treasury has printed. I don't know even they know how much they have printed, if they are keeping count or not. They are printing every day, right?
yeah, they are, but it's still like it seems that he has way more power actually.
no, actually, I
Of
mean,
course.
Tushar, let's just don't jump the
Yeah,
gun, since we'll start first understanding the fundamentals, and then slowly and gradually we'll understand that, right?
right.
And it's not only Bitcoin. There are if you go and check, there are more than 7,000 cryptocurrencies exist as of today, and probably 95% of them will going to fail up. But that's a topic for some other day. Okay, so I was coming back to understanding this people's currency. So it occurs, or it acts similar to how gold was acting, let's say 1,000 years ago or 500 years ago, right? As a medium of exchange, you can and it has started to happen, right? But people have started to accept the bitcoins in exchange of goods and services as well. I mean, Starbucks is one of it. There are many others, merchants as well, who have started to accept the bitcoins. And in fact, you're going to see that in probably a couple of years or a few years from now, uh, there would be many online shopping merchants will be starting to accept the bitcoin, just like you are paying your the online payments via Visa or Mastercard, or let's say PayPal or some other means. In India, you are paying via Paytm or UPI. The Bitcoin will also going to appear up as one of the payment option. I mean, that's what it is planned. But there are again technological limitation within the Bitcoin technology or Bitcoin blockchain that is there. So we'll still have to see how much it is feasible from that perspective. But that was the, let's say, the whole idea or whole intuition behind creating the Bitcoin, so that this currency is not in control of anybody, but this is in control of the, let's say, the open market or people's hand. And that's where the whole concept of blockchain started up. It it started off as a currency, as a Bitcoin, as a currency, but then there are very great technology minds in the industry who took this concept of blockchain and then take it probably many steps further ahead, out of the currency world. So currency is one of the application of Bitcoin, the blockchain, now we can say that. And then there are too many use cases and too many applications that are currently being built upon the technology of the blockchain. And to name a few, we can say that it is being used in the supply chain, it is being used in the retail as well, it is being used in the decentralized finance, it is being used in the government, it is being used in the brand management, and you name it, it can happen. And also, not only in these areas, it's also making its applications in the social media as well, and the content management or content sharing platforms, just like YouTube. We have I'll give you another example of how this blockchain will going to disrupt the current realm of technology. So think about that. What kind of power currently Facebook or Google has because of their Facebook platform, or the Google having the YouTube platform. They have so much of user data, right? They control the entire these data, the data that is being shared via these platforms, right? One day Facebook comes across and say that, hey, this user cannot do such kind of things, he blocked the account of that user. Similarly, the YouTube, they say that this guy is not maintaining the policy of my channel or my platform. I'll block this video, right? Similarly, that is one aspect. The another aspect is that these platforms also help in colluding many, let's say, sort of a very top level scams as well. I mean, they share the data. If you must have heard about the Cambridge Analytica thing, right? Which I think it was probably 2 or 3 or 4 years back, which basically sourced the data from the Facebook, masses data from the Facebook, and then manipulated the elections in various countries, right? So the such kind of power these big companies have because they own the data, right? That is all because all of this is centralized either at the Facebook server, or either at the Google server, or either at the Amazon server, right? Think of that, if every such all these capabilities are available, however the data behind it is not being controlled by a centralized authority. Think of a YouTube where Google doesn't own all those videos. All those videos are not being stored in the Google server, but they are being stored across millions and billions of computers on the earth, right? A completely decentralized network, right? So nobody controls that data. Are you with me on understanding what
But
the
sorry, Nimit, but how is that even like I can't see the feasibility of it. I mean, like if we consider every computer, even if we make it like a server, then how is the data going to be distributed? And I mean, just a small technical explanation would be enough because I'm
yeah
not able to fathom as to
I'll,
how
I'll
is it.
I'll give
Yeah,
you a small explanation, and I'll give you the analogy as well, and you will be able to understand that. Have you ever downloaded anything using torrent?
yeah, before, yeah,
Right. So you understand how torrent works, right? in torrent there is no centralized server, right? The you download it from the peer computers. Let's say that you want to download a movie using a torrent, though don't do it because it's illegal. But still, let's say that you want to download a movie using a torrent. When you download it using a BitTorrent or some other torrent management software, it is not being stored at any central server. All those movies, if you want, they are being stored on the local computers of the individual users like you and me, right? And then there is a concept called as file sharding, wherein the big files are being sharded in millions of small pieces, and then they are being distributed and they are being hosted by the laptops and the computers like yours and mine's, right? And when you connect to that network, all of those millions small pieces of files are being downloaded from those various computers, and then create a final video file or final movie file. So it's the same concept, right?
Okay, interesting.
But
Okay.
yeah, but at a much larger scale.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Yeah, makes sense.
Right. So that's how the, let's say, the world of blockchain is evolving around. And there is, let's say, so much things happening, so much advancement happening in this blockchain technology that you will, not you, everybody will be overwhelmed to understand that, okay, and will be fascinated to understand that. So I took the example of YouTube. This is the decentralized YouTube is not, let's say, in theory, or not say in the POC phase. There is a live the version of decentralized YouTube is working, and it's called as DTube, and then there are others as well which are in progress. Similarly, the concept of Facebook, the social media platform, there are companies who are working on building up the decentralized Facebook, or let's say decentralized social media, social sharing apps. So everything is happening as of today, and probably in another 5 6 years, we are going to see there will be going to be a surge in the usage of those applications, right? So everything is happening as of today. I mean, we are not saying that this is all in let's say the POC phase or all in the research phase. Everything is happening in production as of today. Does it make sense? Okay,
Yeah,
so
it makes sense. And how
Yeah.
is it going to, challenge sorry, yeah, Tushar, please go ahead.
No, yeah. It makes sense. Sorry.
Yeah, so I was just saying that, I mean, how is it going to challenge the cloud ecosystem by, Amazon and Google, and are they doing anything about it? If
so
you're saying, all these competitors are already in the production mode.
Yeah, so cloud is something different, right? Cloud is currently that, let's say that AWS, the cloud which is there, it is completely focusing on providing the services to the big organization, or let's say not even the big organization, but the small organization as well. So, but the Bitcoin, or not the Bitcoin, the blockchain applications are more blockchain. Just give me a second, guys. My daughter is creating a little fuss. Okay, she's gone. Yeah. So the bit the blockchain is more about the individual applications as of today, but there is a whole ecosystem which is being developed as well. And who knows? But from the cloud computing perspective, I don't think so that blockchain right now is focusing on disrupting the cloud market, but they are definitely disrupting these every other area right now. I mean, be it financial, decentralized finance, and then uh, social places, or the retail and everything.
I just want to add, and I think like actually cloud computing is adding up to this decentralizing thing, because cloud computing or different cloud providers, they have their services to offer. They actually don't have uh, a look into these things, what you are storing or anything. So you can actually use different cloud providers for the same stuff. So your stuff might lie in multi-cloud. So you won't be tied to one cloud or anything, but
Yeah, but
actually it
but
is helping you because the servers are all over the world.
but Tushar, I would say that this is still not helping in the decentralization of it, but it is probably. I'm also not in favor of cloud computing. Why? Think about that. AWS currently controls 35% of the cloud market, right? Public cloud market. Netflix, and there are big organizations who are completely hosted on the AWS, right? Again, I'm not saying that that will going to happen, but let's think that one day Jeff Bezos, who is the the head, the boss of the Amazon and the AWS, thinks that okay, and he just go crazy, and he pulls the plug of the AWS, right? 35% of the big organization will going to lose a lot of money. Again, I'm not saying that that will going to have happen, but again, the power
No,
is
but it
going.
can never happen. It can never happen, right? It is just not imaginable, right? There are so many protections for that. So what you are saying exactly, many people are scared of that, and that is why there are very, very watertight
Rules and
conditions being
regulations.
set, right? See, ऐसे तो
Okay,
कुछ भी हो सकता है यार. Tomorrow
nahin,
India Prime Minister say start a war with
हाँ,
China.
that's what
ऐसे
I'm
तो फिर
saying. That's
कुछ
what I'm. But think
ऐसा नहीं
of
होता ना
that.
लेकिन.
नहीं, we are Nishant. You were giving the example of Android, right? That Android and Apple controls this market. The similar way the AWS controls the market, right? The
Correct,
cloud
yeah.
market.
So the issue is different then, right? So
No,
the
no, no.
issue
It's
is
absolutely
that
same. Absolutely
Amazon as
same.
a company has to be broken up. That is a different.
Hello,
Sorry, I
Nishant.
think the voice.
Yeah, we lost
Yeah, we
Nishant.
can't hear him. Go ahead,
Yeah,
go ahead, fast.
but yeah, I mean, again, that's a, let's say a, subtopic of separate discussion. Let's not go into that into
But
detail. But again, my
Amazon
point.
cannot be allowed. No, no, but Amazon cannot be. So what you are saying, let me clarify what I was saying. Amazon cannot be allowed to operate as one giant behemoth, right? So it has to be broken up with multiple CEOs, different boards, independent boards, different set of shareholders, multiple listings, and you can call them Amazon 1, 2, 3, 4, or Amazon US, Amazon India, but full Chinese walls and separate entities, completely separate legal structures with absolutely no cross holding. That has to be done, and that will be done, right now Google is facing multiple cases, right? In India पेटीएम के साथ नाटक स्टार्ट किया, अभी बैंड बजाएंगे अभी इंडियन गवर्नमेंट मिलके यूएस उसका पेटीएम का गूगल का पेटीएम को ब्लॉक किया था गूगल स्टोर से 1 घंटे में वापस ले आया.
Right. There are many other applications. Again, that's why I'm saying that. So, okay, let's not go into this discussion. The point was, with these public clouds, the AWS or Azure or GCP, it is not really, supporting the decentralization thing. I mean, that's a separate topic. Or it's a separate technology altogether for the discussion. But yeah, from the blockchain perspective, that is what it is right now. Um, if anyone have any questions, just from understanding the basics of it, what exactly the blockchain is and how it is incepted, there is, let's say that too much for information that we can cover up, and probably it will going to take some months and months of discussions and sessions in order to completely understand the in and out of the blockchain and the other cryptocurrencies. But from the starting point of view, anyone have any questions in understanding what a blockchain is, at least? It's a
So yes,
simply
yes, yeah. No, for me also it's very new. But you said it's a blockchain is a technology, and here the whatever the currency, Bitcoin and all, it's part of it. Currency is a one part of blockchain. That's what you.
right. Exactly. So all these bitcoins, Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin, Bitcoin Hash, Gemini, there are so
So
many, I
think of
mean,
it like
7,000.
this, right? Basically a Bitcoin is like the database, right?
Not really,
It's
not
like
really, not really, Nishant. Bitcoin is not a database. Bitcoin is
not
an
Bitcoin,
application.
blockchain is more like the database, the building blocks. It's like your programming language, something like that, and then it has multiple use cases. Think of it that way in a simplistic format.
Blockchain is just a
So
technology
it's
can be reused on any other industries. It is not
yeah.
limited. Cryptocurrency is
So
one of
yeah,
them.
look at that's what I'm saying. So think of blockchain like your programming language Java, and then you can use Java to develop code for airline industry or banking or whatever. Similarly, blockchain as a base can be applied to any industry, and then you can build applications to suit that use case. So in finance, maybe 4 use case can be built on blockchain. For example, in airline industry, 3. In retail, maybe 30. In mining, 1. I don't know. Okay, you see the point.
Yeah.
And as the technology refines itself, it can be applied in many ways.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
even in the IoT as well, the blockchain has so many of applications. And in the, I can give you, since this is a finance class, I can give you example from the finance world as well, how the blockchain can help. So currently, all these exchanges. I mean, and Nishant would kill me if I go further beyond that. But let's say that in India, NSE and BSE, these exchanges are very much centralized, right? With blockchain, these exchanges can be created as a decentralized exchange which is not being in control by anyone, right? And then trading can happen on those exchanges which is a decentralized exchange, right? So that is one such application
No,
which we
no,
can.
but point is, Nimit, when you say not controlled by anyone, right? Even if you create a decentralized exchange, even NSC today is not controlled by anyone, right? It's its shareholders. So
Right, but
basically,
still,
BSC
but
originally, wait. BSC
Mhm,
originally was owned by the brokers. So whoever
mhm,
had a BSC membership, they were all members. And it was like an association. So everyone used to own 2%, 3% like that. So 30, 40 players were there. All the
mhm.
big ones, the big Mumbai stockbrokers, the old guys. Maybe it started with 20. So each one owned 5%. So it was like that. It is distributed only, right? It is already distributed into 20 members. So even if you create a decentralized exchange from a technology perspective, still if you want that company whichever is creating that exchange to have some money, so if they list that, and then they will again have shareholders, so it will
No,
follow the
no,
same
no, no, no.
pattern.
No. That's not how it works in, because you are right from the perspective that there is a one company or there is a one individual who
No, but
creates
when
or
you are
who.
saying, when you say decentralized, right, like Bitcoin itself, right, when it is decentralized, like you were explaining, right, peer to peer, like there are millions of people and each one is giving the part of their server capacity or their CPU to run this network, right? But at any point of time you need at least 5 million computers to be connected to the network. All of that will come in, right, when the
Uh,
usage goes
Not
up,
really.
right?
Yeah, I mean that's all. Yeah,
Amit,
that's correct. I mean, if the usage goes on, definitely,
Correct. See, right,
more
what is
nodes
the
are
value of
required.
Facebook, right? So to run Facebook, it is very well to say it is one centralized, but at the end of the day, Facebook is also in different servers, right? But it needs that thousands of servers to be running all the time to have Facebook the latency. Otherwise, you will
And
start to see performance issues, right?
Arey,
So
Nishant, we are talking completely two different things. I mean, I'm not talking about distributing from the perspective of the high availability, right? That's a completely different topic, right? I'm talking about the decentralization of the ownership or the power, right? Right
correct,
now,
but
if the Facebook,
that is what
even
I'm saying. When you say even in terms of power, right? When these kind of things start to take a structure, like for example, a stock exchange in India, nobody will allow just like that anyone to build a decentralized stock exchange, right?
that's what I'm
So you
saying,
can
right?
use,
No, that's what I'm trying to say, that people will not allow because they are losing the power. That is the whole game, right? Why
yes,
countries
correct.
are not, why countries are not allowing Bitcoin? Because they are seeing that they will going to lose the control, right? That's why there is a lot of, that is why India is trying to ban the cryptocurrencies, right?
But there is a reason, right? Exactly, because we cannot change the whole world order. Currently, the world works in terms of nation states, and each nation states want to increase the power, not decrease, right? So how will this
Right.
work? It will not work.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying, which is wrong, right? I mean, if it is happening in a group and if it is being happening from 10,000 years or 5,000 years, that doesn't mean it's correct, right? That doesn't mean it's correct. There is a way, there is a possibilities that this can be corrected, but as everyone knows that people who are in power, they will not going to let it happen, because if this will going to happen,
personally,
those people will going to lose the power. But that's the whole fight.
Exactly,
That
but
that's the
what
whole
you are
fight,
talking about is much bigger reform, right? What I'm saying is
right?
small reforms only we are not able to do. Today, I was thinking during coronavirus, at least one country will use common sense and come up with a wealth tax, but nobody is coming, right? And they are running in deficit. And like, look at our Indian government, they are not even ready to spend also. And the whole demand is not there. The whole economy is collapsing, but nobody is doing anything about it. So
Right. That's how it is, and that's what needs to be changed up. But anyways, Som has asked some question regarding could be with the quantum computing a possibility. So Som, could you please elaborate your question a bit? Hey Som, you there?
no, I think he's not.
I'm there, but if you, sorry, you have to bear with the voice with my kid in the background.
It's okay, I
So,
mean that's fine, we are also doing the
Yeah,
same thing.
I
Don't
have an
worry.
opinion for quantum computing and its possibility on and impact on cryptocurrency. I think if quantum computing becomes reality, then the entire blockchain thing can actually crash, because the whole point of blockchain relies on hash functions, hash algorithm, which actually enables your blockchain to work. And in order to decode that particular hash of any address, you need to have a lot of computing.
Yeah,
So
Tushar, I'll counter on that as well. With the quantum computing, let's say going into the reality realm, similarly, quantum cryptography is also taking into a place, right?
yeah,
And then,
exactly. Yeah, if that thing works, then
Okay,
basically
right.
blockchain
guys,
might
you
work.
can continue if you are liking the session. I will have to drop off. I have some things to take care of. So, Nimit, you can continue. Just before I go, tomorrow also, will you be taking the session, or tomorrow, what is the status?
Tomorrow, I'll let you know, Nishan, by probably tomorrow morning itself, because generally I go for a cycling on one of this days, either Saturday or Sunday in the morning.
Acha, ठीक है. So if Nimit is not able to take tomorrow, Netflix team and Amazon team, will you be prepared for the presentation? If not, then I will cover something else. Okay.
So I
But
still haven't heard from Siddharth, but I'll let you know as soon as I hear from him. I'll text you.
yeah, sure. And then yeah, so I will leave now. You guys can continue. Thanks, guys. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you, Nishant. So, yes, Nimit, I was also recently reading a lot of, not a lot of, actually, I saw some documentaries on the quantum computing, and where one of the lady from the Canadian Institute, she's an Indian, she was giving a presentation telling that about the quantum computing and how it can help us, at the rate of speed which can calculate, and also how we can have the right now it's more or less internet is exposed, so how we can have the secure options and all those things I was reading about it. So I was wondering, quantum computing could be also encourage this cloud and more maybe on top of it the blockchain also, maybe what you said, quantum crypto, whatever the technology could be very interesting. Maybe down the line we don't know, but many people are big giants are already working on the quantum computing. So
Yeah,
this is the thing.
from the quantum computing realm, there are already quantum computers available as of today as well, with 32 bits as well, the qubits. If you know about, if since you know about quantum computing, you might be knowing a little bit about how what are the qubits as well. So 32 qubits quantum computers are available as of today, but the commercial scale availability is not visible, at least for another, I would say,
Yeah.
10 years, right? The commercial viability and commercial, just like we are using the laptops or desktops, right? That commercial viability is not visible, at least for another 10 years. But yeah, from the cloud perspective, these kind of capabilities can come across in another five
Very
to
true.
six years.
Yeah, and also the autonomous driving, the decision has to be done very quickly. So that is one of the biggest bets everybody auto giants are beating. Like they say, this would be quantum computing would be pushed further, like especially the decision making. Like we don't know what level, which level would be successful in coming years. So that is also
Yeah, that it's like just the thing is like entire the internet, as well as the internet and the blockchain, it relies on something called cryptography, right? So the reason why it exists is that we don't have processing power to decode the uh, cryptography, but with quantum computing it becomes possible. So unless the entire system, like the internet, underlying mechanism of internet as well as blockchain, if it changes to adopt to what Nimit was saying, the quantum cryptography or something like that, if it adopts that particular thing, then it won't be breakable. But if it fails to adopt it, then I think the entire thing would collapse. But again, as
Nothing,
Nimit
nothing
said,
will.
it has a
Tushar, don't
lot of
worry.
years to actually catch
Yeah,
on the
Tushar,
actual
don't worry.
quantum
Yeah,
Nothing will.
computing.
a
Tushar,
little
don't worry.
not
Nothing.
like, unaware of the quantum computing thing. If someone can maybe summarize it and like explain to the group in like one or two sentences, it could be really good because I'm not able to relate it to the blockchain discussion.
Yeah, actually, Vaibhav, I can explain, let's say, in a couple of lines what is quantum computing. But truly speaking, this is not related to the blockchain at all. The quantum computing is a different technology realm, and blockchain is completely a different technology. But since you have brought it up, I can quickly bring up you up to the speed. What is quantum computing? So just like we have a regular computer as of today, which works on a bit, and a bit is simply a 0 or 1, right? Similarly, the quantum computers, which we call it as, they work on a concept called as qubit, right? Which holds the, I mean, again, I will go a little bit deep into the physics of that, but think of it as a computer which is having the capability of processing, having a parallel processing power of much higher capacity than we have in the current world, right?
Yeah,
Probably
like 10,000
10,
times more at least.
not even 10,000, the millions times.
Yeah, at least 10,000. You can assume
Yeah,
that because 10,000 is
millions.
currently what Google has worked and achieved,
Yeah,
but it's possible to achieve more.
millions of times faster computing power than the current computers, the fastest current computers that we have as of today. So that is all about the quantum computing, and it works on a concept called as bits and qubits. So bits, like you have in your regular computing, the quantum computing works on the qubits, and it's being based on a concept, physics concept called the superposition of the particles. But I will not go into the detail because it would be too much technical to understand.
Yeah, let's say for another use case, maybe just is a kind of Star Wars kind of example. And next we have this this autonomous driving becomes a reality one fine day. Is
So
that
even
case?
so
Yeah.
even this so the autonomous driving is becoming a reality even without the quantum computing. The real
Yes, I
benefits
agree
of
with you. With
the
5G
real benefit
technology, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
the real benefits of quantum computing will be seen in the research and the engineering, right? Wherein as of today, the current computing capabilities are not allowing us to do the research at a fast pace. Think of a example that there are various data models. When I say data models, these are based on the machine learnings or AI, which needs so much of computing power in order to make the correct predictions of the healthcare, within the healthcare domain, or let's say from the universe exploration perspective, or from the astronomy perspective, right? In the healthcare, the biology and the biotechnology perspective, there the real use cases will be coming up from the quantum computing, right? That is where the research and development and the engineering and the academia, that is where the real use cases of quantum computing will going to come up and start playing a crucial role. Because as of today, the speed of research is, let's say, has been increased a lot in last 20 years, but still it's not at that pace because of the limited computing power that we have as of today. So we'll see that once these quantum computers are very much feasible and viable, and coming under the cost is, let's say, very much feasible, then the research and the development in various aspects, in various areas, will go to let's say, started to happen a very quick space. But yeah, I mean, there would be others examples for sure. There are other let's say use cases for sure. Okay, guys, anything from the blockchain perspective you'd like to discuss, or because quantum computing is, let's say,
Nimit,
another topic for discussion.
Nimit,
But
I
from
have one question. For example, what if manipulation happens, like such as volatility, in order to create, for example, let's say there is two players in the market. In order to spoil the another's image, it's possible to create unnecessary request or whatever. So how this will be managed? For
okay,
example, denial of service, all those things that I'm talking about in the availability of the service. How does, for example, I will tell you in the, since you give the example of BitTorrent. So in the
Mhm.
BitTorrent, let's say there is a seeder every day. Some guy will be doing the seeding every day for you for some couple of weeks, and you will imagine that same quality of service will be there for next days also. Suddenly they will stop the servers, the guy who is
Okay.
seeding. Then how does this will be overcome?
Yeah, so basically, when I mean BitTorrent was a let's say at a very low scale example, right? So in BitTorrent, how many seeders you might have been getting? Probably 500, 600, 1,000, right? Those seeders. But in real public blockchain, this number goes to millions, right? So you can even, let's say that out of those millions, 10,000 people, decided to stop the root nodes, right? But still there are other millions of users who are still serving them up, right? So that's why I said that it's purely a decentralized thing. I mean that concept of single point failure exists in the centralized system, wherein somebody goes into and attack a centralized server, even though those servers are being replicated across. But still, let's say that somebody manages to kill one of those servers or five of those servers, then the availability is being highly impacted. But in this decentralized world, you kill up 500 or 10,000 of those nodes, though it's, let's say, physically or practically not feasible to kill those 10,000 nodes. But let's say even if somebody manages to kill those 10,000 nodes, then another millions of nodes are available. I can give you a real time example as well. If I go and search how many current nodes are running for the Bitcoin blockchain, you will see that there would be millions of those. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
check it quickly. I'll check it.
What I mean is, even in the decentralization, so what if max, I mean 70% of the servers are down? So
How is it possible that there are 70% of servers are down? Because this is
Okay, guys, there are only 6,000 nodes currently running Bitcoin network.
yeah,
They're
but
not
if out of
millions.
yeah
And
out of
those are mostly desktop computers, and that's why when you transfer one Bitcoin or any proportion of it to some other address, it takes like at least 4 or 5 hours to actually get transferred to the other address, because it has to replicate in all those nodes.
Not
The
really, not
transaction
really,
takes.
not really, Tushar. I'll tell you why it takes more time in Bitcoin, because they work on a protocol or work on a consensus algorithm called as proof of
Yeah,
work, which is very much compute intensive, right? That is the
correct.
reason why it takes a lot of time. But in the modern blockchain applications, there are many consensus algorithms which has come across, which are highly let's say efficient, like proof of stake, and then there is another one
Yeah,
which
definitely they are efficient, but then there always lies a chance, or there is always a trade-off. Like for instance, the most primitive form of consensus that they had was to make the copy of transaction available in all the nodes. Then they reduce it to 50% nodes, and then now they are doing something else, like maybe no need to replicate it in all the nodes or 50% of the nodes. But then the problem is, let's say half of or some of the nodes break down and your information lies in there, then it's a potential problematic situation, because there is no clue of that transaction happening. So I'm not saying that it's like bad, it's just it is also vulnerable. Like it's
yeah
hyped a
yeah
lot
as
actually,
long as
blockchain.
as long as 51% attack is not feasible in a network, it is not vulnerable, I would say that, right? And it is really hard to attack 51% of nodes at the same time. I mean, that's what my understanding is. But yes, it is, let's say, it is still possible. I'm not
yes,
saying that it is impossible, right? It is still possible that if there is some way that some collusion happens between the people who are running those full nodes, and then they reach more than 51%, that can still happen.
True.
Yes. All right, any other questions, guys?
I just have one question regarding, like, I understand you have studied blockchain and everything. Do you think it's worthwhile to actually invest in maybe Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies? If you think yes, it's something we should, how much should we actually invest? Like, should it be 0.5%
invest
of our portfolio or 5%?
invest invest as much as you are willing to lose, because cryptocurrencies is a market which is so much volatile, and here you can literally lose everything, right? and here you can literally make more, billions of dollars as well.
Uh, that was my question, Nimit. How can I trust a such system which is so much volatile? The coffee which I am paying two cents today, it might cost me 4 cents tomorrow. So, do you think people will accept this?
No. So the Bitcoin, let's take an example of the Bitcoin itself. Why it is volatile is purely because I'll frankly speak that Bitcoin doesn't have any intrinsic value, right? It is only having the value which is a person is willing to pay, right?
Yeah, it's as much as like a shares in the market.
It's sort of
Share,
assets.
not
Shares
a,
has the value.
yeah, shares still have the values, right? I mean, they are running, there is a company running behind it, and they have some sort of profitability and stuff like that. But in cryptocurrency words, specifically for the Bitcoin, I'm not talking about the other cryptocurrencies because they are still have some intrinsic value because there are companies running behind it, like Ethereum. There is a like Ether. There is a company running behind it, which is causing the smart contracts to be executed using that. So I'm not talking about all of the cryptocurrencies, but at least for Bitcoin, there is no intrinsic value. It is purely speculation, purely based on what other person is willing to pay for that Bitcoin. If he's willing to pay higher amount, then the value of the Bitcoin will keep on increasing. If somebody thinks that no, it is not that much worth, then it will start decreasing, right? The only benefit of Bitcoin right now is that it was the first, it has the early mover advantage. It was the first currency which started off with this concept, and it's just flied off. Frankly speaking, from the technical perspective, the technology behind the Bitcoin blockchain is obsolete. It is not able to support high throughput and high transaction. There are many other cryptocurrencies which has come in the market, which has much advanced technology and support very high throughput as well. But still, as I said, being an early mover, Bitcoin has that advantage, and it will keep on having Bitcoin will keep on having that advantage probably forever. Okay.
Are all cryptocurrencies are based on blockchain technology, or is or something else as well?
No, every cryptocurrency is based on blockchain.
Okay.
They are based on blockchain, but they have a tiny bit of variations in their blockchain mechanism,
Yeah.
which actually poses drawbacks as well as advantages.
I think I'm just imagining this thing in a reality. For example, let's say in country like America, who is a cash rich, who is capable of buying more Bitcoin. Let's say they bought Bitcoin when they are in the financial situation is very good. Let's say there's something happened in US, they got a recession, and suddenly people started selling all the Bitcoins what they want. So because of the infusion of the so much money which is owned by people, suddenly new money came to the Bitcoin stack, or I don't know how does it work. This
It's
will create impact on price rights, right? The
price
value,
of what? Price of what?
valuation of the Bitcoin.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, of course, of
Yes.
course.
So
It purely works as your equity market, right?
yeah,
The a recession comes across, and then everybody started to sell off the shares. So what happened in the March this year, right?
yeah.
The equity market dropped by probably 30-40% in a span of probably 1 weeks, right?
So
So,
is as so I see the risk of as much as my US dollars or the currency which is strong position in the world can still manipulate this.
not really. I mean, again, since it is not being controlled by anyone,
Mhm.
I mean, again, I will not say that there is no way that it can be manipulated, right? It can be manipulated as long as there are big institutional players who controls majority of these Bitcoins. They can manipulate it for sure, right? I'm not saying that it cannot be manipulated. However, it cannot be manipulated in the way that current currencies are being manipulated. Think about that. The US dollars, the
Nimit, I
us
totally agree with you. I am also coming to computer science background. I know what you are telling, but still If that was the case, why the graph of Bitcoin looks so roller coaster, right? So what?
That's the whole point. Like for instance, you have different stock market regulation authorities coming in case of your traditional stock markets, but in case of Bitcoin, there is nothing as such.
Yeah,
So the thing is, like, actually investors of Bitcoin, they are prone to drawback, because there can be highs and lows which might be not restricted. Like for example, in normal share trading, you are not allowed to sell off so much of shares at just one go, because it impacts rest of the investors and prices and everything. So this thing is not happening in blockchain or
so,
the
so
cryptocurrency. So
see,
you are actually prone to higher risks, and that's why
yeah,
we have highs and lows.
yeah, I'll tell you, Ranjit. I'll give you an example. The equity markets are being regulated by that country's Security and Exchange Board, right? Like in India, we have SEBI. In US, we have SEC. This, and why it happens is because those exchanges or those securities are being controlled by somebody. Let's say, it is being managed by somebody central authority. These cryptocurrencies, they are universal, right? There is no control by a specific company or a country or by a government, right? It is completely open and it is universal. You sit in India and you can trade on any cryptocurrency exchange anywhere in the world, right? You can buy or sell anything out of that matter, right? So there is no control and there is no regulation which is governing as of today. I mean, there may be some regulations which are coming across probably in near future. That's definitely going to happen, because every country's government are now want to regularize it, right?